One of the biggest things that I see a lot of beginning investors get hung up on is that they'll do all of the homework. They'll analyze and they'll prep and they'll get it all the way there. And they'll say, wow, I can't offer this price. It's insulting to them. And that's where they stop and where the competition becomes very scarce because I'm one of the people that I'll go right in there and I'll make that low ball offer. And yeah, okay. If they want to be insulted, that's their prerogative. But I'm sitting here purchasing on finance, not feelings. So whenever I go there and I explain this to them, by the time I apply debt service, by the time I do this and fix up these repairs, I can't have a cash flowing property unless I offer this price. And while I can respect that you're in the position that you're in, it's not my job to jump in the quicksand just to replace you. So I have to make
Yeah,
my
that's
offers
exactly
based on
right.
something that makes sense.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey, folks, welcome back to the show. Today's guest, Lee Nugent, is an investor, private lender, and fund manager. Over the years, Lee has built a diversified real estate portfolio leveraging creative financing, market insights, and risk management strategies. You can find him at rewithlee.com or all of his social media, RE with Lee. Lee, thanks for coming on the show today.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, Dylan. Thank you.
Great to connect. And when we talk about getting into real estate, I know based on watching some of your videos, you came from some humble beginnings, really scaled this and bootstrapped this from the ground up. Let's start there. Walk me through getting into real estate and what those first couple of deals were like.
Well, I'll try to be as brief and succinct as possible, but I can ramble. I've got 80 of the HDs. So just bear with me and just give me a symbol if I'm running too long. But I was, in most people's position, right? I had a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, sometimes on the weekends kind of job, and just wasn't happy. After my mom had passed, I had started really kind of looking into what is it that I can do to kind of build for my family should I have a shorter lifespan, similar to my parents. My father passed at 54, my mother passed at 54. And I said to myself, I don't know if it's genealogy or lifestyle. Something isn't right here. So let's, how do I make sure that my family is taken care of? Should my time be cut short? Over the time, I kept hearing, more money is or more millionaires are made in real estate than any other, industry. So I started looking into a couple things. Lo and behold, found a free course. Now this was after finding opportunity for a job in sales, and the company. I don't want to speak to the company's name. I think they're still around. It was actually one of those like, hey, you buy our course and then you can sell it kind of things, right? And I went online and I started reading the reviews. Somebody changed my life and said, hey, the information you get from here, it's fantastic, but it's nothing that you couldn't learn at your local library. And that's what kind of sparked for me, right? I said, well, hell, I barely graduated high school, but I have a master's in Google, so I went to YouTube University. I started looking at all these courses. And, to this day, Phil Putiofsky of freedommentor.com, he had all this free content on YouTube. And so I just really consumed for like a couple months. I'd get home from work, I'd learn it. And then one day, closed the laptop, looked over at my wife and said, I think I want to start wholesaling. What about taking $1,000, getting started? And she was like, no, I don't have any opposition to that. However, why don't we just go to the bank and see if they'll finance us?
Yeah.
And well, that was kind of it.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
But the previous part to that is at one point I had a 450 credit score. So it took some working, right, to get into that
Doing to get rolling.
bankability. That's right. Anyway, I had been working on that and got up to the point to where I was financeable by the bank. We purchased our first property in March of 2015, and it was a duplex. And then our second property in April of 2015, also a duplex. And then it just took off from there. I found some creative ways to obtain the bank financing, use the leverage properly, and just kind of scale my portfolio. At our heaviest, we got to over 50 properties. And we've actually been dispoing a number of those, rolling into some commercial and expanding my private money lending that I've been doing since 2020.
Now, when we talk about evolution of an investor, in many ways, a lot of our listeners, myself included, can relate to this trajectory. Start off looking at wholesale, involved in the single family space, maybe some small multifamily, duplex, triplex, quadplex, that type of thing. Get into lending or larger deals. At the onset, though, did you see where you're at today? Was that the goal, or did this happen over time?
Brother, I just wanted to keep my head above water. I didn't know what the goal was. All I knew was, and one guy in our local RIA, he was great. He was very encouraging. He said, get to 10. Once you're at 10, it's not so much pressure, so much headache. So that's what I did. Jumped to 10 before the end of the year, right? Because the first 4 units in those 2 months, I'm sitting here now, I'm facing tenants that, have the stories that I had whenever I was younger and irresponsible with money, right? So I had the bleeding heart for them. And, I was trying to work with them and to listen to all the stories. And then I'm sitting here sweating this because, again, we started with $6,000. It was actually $3,000. And then after the first couple months of tenants trying to put us off on payments, I was like, oh, we're going to need some more money. So we put another $3,000 in. And then I realized that I can't be a nice guy to the point that it's going to cause my business to fail.
Yeah.
With that, no, my goal was just to get these paid off, right? It was going to be retirement play for my wife and I, because I didn't really have a 401k, right? I was a poker dealer throughout my 20s in the casino business. And it was, while it was fun, I wasn't really the most responsible guy, if I'm being honest. So I had to make some kind of build, some kind of legacy, some kind of retirement. And that's where it went. And it was great. And all I knew was once I had that first deal and that second deal, and it came into where the bank gave me 100% financing, which was fantastic because at the time, credit unions would give you loan to value financing, right, on a purchase. So all I had to do was negotiate a great deal. And for example, the first deal was they were asking 93. I bought it for 67. It appraised for 104. So I was able to go there, all fees rolled in, everything else. Same for the second duplex. And that's when I thought, oh, this is easy. The acquisitions weren't so hard. It was the operations that I was hung up on. So yeah, just to go back and tighten it up. No, the biggest thing that I was focused on was just keeping my head above water.
When we talk about going from that starting point to where you are today, I want to dive into, you mentioned getting to 10, right? And for folks who may have rebuilding credit, or for folks who may have no experience with with real estate, right? And they're thinking, well, gosh, okay, that one's going to be hard. What advice would you have for them from a mindset standpoint, and also from like, hey, this is some things that maybe I did that I could have been easier in those first couple deals?
One of the biggest things that I see a lot of beginning investors get hung up on is that they'll do all of the homework. They'll analyze and they'll prep and they'll get it all the way there. And they'll say, wow, I can't offer this price. It's insulting to them. And that's where they stop and where the competition becomes very scarce, because I'm one of the people that I'll go right in there and I'll make that lowball offer. And yeah, okay. If they want to be insulted, that's their prerogative. But I'm sitting here purchasing on finance, not feelings. So whenever I go there and I explain this to them, by the time I apply debt service, by the time I do this and fix up these repairs, I can't have a cash flowing property unless I offer this price. And while I can respect that you're in the position that you're in, it's not my job to jump in the quicksand just to replace you. So I have to make
Yeah,
my
that's
offers
exactly
based on
right.
something that makes sense.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
But so many people, they get to the point to where, and Dylan, I'm sure you've seen it, you're working in two markets. I'm working in two markets, with our real estate licenses as well. Right. So we're going over there and we see people that go all the way and then they get to the point and they're like, okay, great. I was mentoring a guy just a couple of days ago. We got there, we reverse engineered the offer on a flip and, they were asking, I think 250. And his offer had to come in at 150 to make sense. And he's like, well, I'm not, I don't want to write that. I said, don't worry, I will. If you don't want this deal, now that I've put in the work on this, give me the agent's contact and I'll make the offer. And all of a sudden now he's like, well, no, I'll go ahead and make the offer. So that's where, a lot of it, and for beginning investors, it's that lack of confidence or that perceived notion that you're going to hurt somebody's feelings. Look, in this business, you're going to hurt some people's feelings because people have sentimental attachment to properties.
Right.
They had memories, they had job loss there, they had, weddings and children's and, parents that were aging and unfortunately passed away. And now they have to sell a home that they grew up in and had all those childhood memories. They're going to be insulted sometimes. But whenever you actually frame it correctly and you let them know, I'm not here to insult you, but I'm also not here to throw away money. This is a business for me. And while I respect your position, please understand that this isn't just me out here lowballing you just to get lulls out of it.
No, when we talk about, making cash offers and, the sellers who are receiving them, as a realtor myself, I know from the perspective of a realtor, especially if a property's sitting and they haven't received offers, right? I, as on the receiving end, would entertain anything to get the conversation started. So right now, people in the markets that I'm active in can have homes, can even have some high end flips that have been sitting. So when you're looking at the gamut of the conditions right now that are affecting sellers and buyers, not only do the sellers themselves are a little bit more open to what they're fielding, but also as someone who's writing these offers, I understand that unless that seller and that buyer have it in writing, hey, we're not going to take anything below a certain amount, it's the fiduciary responsibility of that receiving realtor to at least present it to their client.
Absolutely. And I tell them, give me the signature, or you as the agent, refuse to sign. Give me that. Show me that you actually presented this offer. Because oftentimes, and I've had that happen before, to where I've made an offer, the agent just stonewalls it. No, I'm not going to present this. Oh, so you're not going to do your fiduciary duty. Okay. And now all of a sudden they begrudgingly go and they present the offer, right? But then it comes back and they're like, nope, they said no. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to let you know next month my offer drops by $5,000. Right now, I can tell you that I'm the only offer coming in because you're sitting here and you're saying all offers are welcome, but yet you insult or act insulted at mine. Then don't say all offers are welcome, right? So the running joke between a number of investors and myself is that, on my other arm, I should have tattooed lowball lead. because I'm just not afraid to go over here and make an offer that, it makes sense financially for me to make. And if I was a contractor and I could actually lower my construction costs, I would make higher offers. However, I source everything out. So
When we talk specifically about the arithmetic that goes into underwriting these deals, right? People are unaware generally, and there's this sentiment, especially among realtors, that there's like an investor community, and then there's retail buyers, and that they're two separate areas, right? But right now, more than ever, with you know the two worlds coming together, really, you're seeing things like DSCR loans that were traditionally only in one space now being offered to maybe people outside of that one segment. But then you're also seeing, just for the average person to become a homeowner, you've got to be thinking almost like an investor at this point, because the home prices just from 10 years ago are different worlds, it feels like.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
we're in a really funny market right now. And I don't mean funny, haha. It's interesting because, I've been saying this for a little while. You can have high home prices, you can have high interest rates. You can't have both, not at the same time. And, while we're seeing that, there's been so much push into creative financing and everything else. And I'll be honest with you, Dylan, it's not my bag. I don't speak on it much. I've done a couple sub two deals. I'm largely not a fan. I would just rather focus on lower hanging fruit, the ones that don't have the complexity of the layers, the ability for a seller to go claim or file bankruptcy and, throw my deal sideways. So while that is the case, I do tend to find myself talking to buyers more as investors. I say, look, if the market shifts another 20% from where we're at, what are you going to do? If the interest rates don't drop in the next year, like a lot of lenders are sitting over here shouting at the rooftops, you can still buy, you can refinance. If it doesn't happen, then what? Okay? What price does it make sense to purchase today and pay this note for the next 30 years? That's the same way that I approach anything as far as our portfolio. Real briefly, I know that there's a limit to our call, so I want to try to interject this quickly. Last year, we had one of our portfolios come up. It was about 16 properties that was coming up on term. And so we had done a multiple indebtedness mortgage, packaged it all together, and we went from a 4% interest rate to a 7.25. Now, initially, when we financed that package, it was about 1.25. We financed 800, and at the time of refinance, we were under 300. We were at $250,000 because of the fact that what we were doing is we strategically disposed of property here and there. And then also what we would focus on is we would flip some houses and then we would just pay down the principal, try to get that lump sum down. Because while the interest rates are 4% today, they're not guaranteed to be 4% in 5 years. So
Right.
there's been a lot of investors get hung out to dry, with that, rates are low, buy now. And you're seeing a lot of this in multifamily spaces where syndicators went out and bought 375 debt, 4% debt. And now they're coming up on term and they're having to default back to the banks. And the banks are saying, well, hang on, we've got a lot of I wouldn't say a lot of bad debt. We've got a lot of debt about the cycle. Hold on to it. We're going to do modifications. We're going to do these things to try to get it going. But now in the face of rent contraction, of lowering rents across numerous markets, their syndications are failing. And I'm seeing a lot of opportunity in the future, not necessarily today, but in the future. People are still trying to squeeze 7 caps out of non-cap markets. But,
Yep.
as that happens, we're going to see some pretty interesting times and a lot of opportunity. So while we're doing that, that's why I just keep doing the private money lending. Great annualized returns, keeps my investors happy, keeps me happy, and just wait for the time and the opportunity as it comes.
I've seen exactly what you're talking about in the multifamily space specifically. It does feel like there was a time, uh, prior to the last 5 or 6 years, if you're talking like pre-2019, well, you just couldn't buy a deal wrong. So people were projecting, 5-year exits and hitting it in 2.5. And everyone was seeing this, and it became like, let's be a syndicator. You can be a syndicator. You can be a syndicator. And what happens when you have these black swan events, COVID, moratorium on rents, rents going down in markets where you wouldn't see that happening. And then all this development. So now you don't necessarily have the shortage. You may have a surplus in some markets, like where I'm licensed in Texas. It makes things a little bit, more challenging for fund managers and for syndicators who have these deals. But we are coming up on time here, Lee. Where can folks go to reach out to you and your team, or any new projects that you're working on that you want to get out to our audience?
If you're a beginning investor, you want to learn some basics. I do have a, excuse me. I do have a free copy of a book I wrote a couple years ago. It's Real Estate Investing Primer. You go to rewithlee.com. It's right there. Don't spam you. Hell, I don't even email you. So just go ahead and throw it in, download it. Hopefully it'll be some value for you. It's just a no-nonsense way of looking at how to wholesale, how to analyze rentals, how to do flips, and some of the stories along the way of how it's happened to me, including a murder, numerous things that have happened to these properties. So it's been an interesting 10 years.
Lee, thank you so much for your time today. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Dylan.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.